hat size is a size 58 centimeters. But what I've noticed with these particular Panama hats is that you can't always trust the size spec. In fact, you can never trust the size spec. And what I'm really looking for is the largest crown and the widest brim. Because I'm a hat maker and I will teach you how to do this, I don't need to worry about the fit of the hat, because if the hat is too big for me, I can simply downsize it so that I get my optimum snug fit. So right now, it's about the size of the crown and the size of the brim that I'm mostly interested in. I must admit, I'm not a, I'm not a connoisseur on the Panama hat, but I do understand hats and headwear. So when I look at this, I think that this is probably the type of Panama hat that is sold to the general public. You know, it's an expensive hat, but it's not expensive compared to what a Panama hat could cost you. And if you look at the hat closely, you'll see that the edge is finished by weaving the edge together. The Panama hat is hand woven. It's a piece of art in itself. And then you get someone who comes along and puts something like this on it. If you look at any of these, look at the bands. Just these hat bands haven't even been turned. They haven't even been turned to go on the hat. That's why they're sitting so. And then if I look inside, the sweatbands, they're so badly placed in the hat. It's like they've saved every single penny. There isn't even a 2 centimeter overlap at the back of the hat, which is shocking. Look at, for instance, here. Can you see this? Look at that. How can you sell a Panama with such a shoddy? It's not even got a 2 centimeter overlay both sides. And you will see, can you see how the ribbon dips down and then goes? That means the ribbon has not been turned so that it sits flat against the hat. And it's just, for me, it's a shame, because there's a true craftsman out there who has woven a beautiful hat, and then it goes into some form of mass production after that and is just immediately cheapened. But what I'm going to do is, once I choose which hat I really want for myself, I will resize it, and then I will also more than likely retrim it. Although I have to say, I do like a very simple black band on there. But maybe I'll add a little bling to it or something like that, just to make it my own. So what I've done is I've just gone through these 4 hats. I've looked inside to see what they say the hat measurement is. And then I have used my hat sizer to gauge what the actual measurement is. And then I've used my head, because I can also gauge from simply putting the hat on my head whether it is a true to form fit or whether there's something lacking in the actual engineering of the hat. So there's a 3-step process, and what I have discovered is that when it comes to the sizing, and I cannot say this for every Panama business, but I will say it about this particular business, when it comes to the sizing, you cannot trust what their size spec says inside the hat, because what is being said inside the hat is not at all true to what the true sizing of the hat is. So, for instance, if I look at this one says that it is 58 centimeters. The hat size is 58 centimeters. When I use my sizing, I'm getting a size measurement of 57 centimeters. And from my previous videos, you know my head size is 57 centimeters, which means my comfort optimum hat size would be 58 centimeters. So let's put this on the head. This says it's 58. Like I said, my sizer says it's 57, and yeah, this is not a 58. This is definitely a 57. This is how I would test if there's any resistance to the hat coming off. Simply put your finger there and just, because with one little gust of wind, if the hat flips up when you do this, then you'll lose your hat very easily in the wind. So I can see that this hat is nice and snug on my head. But the truth is, I feel that the crown is too small. I feel that the crown is too small for the shape of my face. Ideally, I think I would like to have a bigger crown. Also, the idea of having a bigger crown appeals to me because living in South Africa, it's very hot. Our sun is hot in summertime, and if you have a sun hat like this, which is right on the crown of my head, there's no gap between the hat and my head. The hat and my head are basically jammed together as one. And although some people would say this is the perfect fit, style-wise, I would say it is not the perfect fit for me. But I feel that the actual crown of it is too small for my head. And let's try a larger size. So right here, this one says in size that it is 60 centimeters. When I use my sizer, I'm getting 57.5 centimeters. So I'm getting a slightly larger, 0.5 larger fit on this Panama hat than on our first one. Another thing I've noticed about these hats, there seems to be no grip fit. There's no true fit to them. And yeah, so for me, this is not gripping my head the way it should. Although it says it's only a 0.5 centimeter larger than this one, it's not gripping my head as it should. I think I prefer the shape of the crown on this. I can feel that this crown is giving me space, a little bit of space around my head, whereas this one was totally contouring the shape of my head, touching my head, whereas this one there's room, and that's what I want. The bigger the crown, the better, so that I don't have the sun direct on the fabric direct on my head. I want there to be a little bit of a difference, a little bit of a gap. So that one's okay, but you know what I see about that one, and then I look at that one. The one that is larger in head size is narrower in brim size. So I'm looking for the largest crown and the widest brim. That's what I'm going to settle on. So I have this one. Actually, let's go here. So now we have this one. This one says it's 62 centimeters. And when I measure it, I'm getting a 59 centimeter. So this is nice. Also, I like that. It's far too big for my head. Simply comes up. There's no grip to it. So one gust of wind and the hat will be gone. But like I said, I'm going to be adding something to the inside of the hat so the hat becomes my perfect fit. And then we have another 62 centimeter hat. This one is also measuring now at a 59 centimeter. So, very nice. So what's most important for me is how the bowl of my head is feeling around the crown, within the crown of the hat. That's what's so important. When I went for my actual head size, which was the 58 centimeter hat, the crown of the hat was snugging my head too much. And that's not what I want, because I want there to be a little bit of gapping and room up here so that the ventilation can occur, and I'm not going to be burned by the sun, burning the Panama and then burning the top of my head. This is I also think it very important for people who have thin hair or no hair, that just leave that little bit of gap between your head and the crown of the top of the hat, because that will allow there to be a safety pocket to stop you from overheating. So when I look at this hat, this is my true hat. This is the hat I know I'm going to choose, everyone. It says it's a size 62 centimeters, but when I put it on my head, I'm getting a size 59 centimeters. That's really a big difference. So I'm sure some people must get very upset when they order a hat in their size and then the hat comes up so much smaller. And I'm not blaming, like, the reason that happens is because each and every one of these is hand woven, and the individual who wove this hat did not weave this hat. Although my actual head size is a 58 centimeters, I've decided to go with either this one, which is a size 62 centimeter, or this one, which is a size 62 centimeter. Neither one of these are actually 62 centimeters, because when I use my sizing spec on them, they're coming out at about a 59 and a half centimeter. And my true hat snug size is a 58 centimeter, which means I'm going to have to do something to downsize whichever hat I choose. But now I've got the choice of this one or this one. When I look, just simply looking at the crowns as they are right now, I can see that these two hats have been woven very differently. In terms of the starting point on this one, there's quite a large circle, whereas the starting point on this one is much more refined. And the straw on this Panama hat, the weave is much finer than if I look at the weave on this particular Panama hat. In fact, when I keep looking at the two of them, I look at this one, this Panama hat, and I think to myself, it looks a little bit like one of those, forgive me, but a cheaper hat than a Panama hat. But then when I look at this one, and I don't know if you guys can actually see the difference. I'm going to hold them up. Can you look at this one? Just look at the base of the crown. Look at how it's woven. And then also look at the gradient of the weave. Okay? And look at this one. Much finer in its texture and its weaving. And the thing is, when I look at this one, I look right around that area there, Perhaps I can put a photo up. But that area there, I can tell that if this hat were to break, that's where it would break. And so, ultimately, I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with the one that has the finer weave and that I think just, to me, it looks like it was woven by someone who was more of a master than the person who did the weaving on that one. This is definitely, I would call, a superior weaver. So let's just put that back on the head. It's not shaking. Shake it, shake it, shake. It's not shaking. It's not shaking. But living in Cape Town, we have wind, and because of that wind, we have names for the wind in Cape Town. I don't know if anyone's ever seen any of the videos. Certain times of the year, people are holding on to their poles in the center of Cape Town because the wind is blowing up. But so I do need to put a sizer. If I stick a finger in, I can get one finger in there. From front to back, I get one finger. If I had to put it on my side, I would say I have 1.5 fingers. So one of my fingers is overlapping slightly like that. Okay. A finger in the hat, that would say to me it's 1 centimeter. It is too big. There is no resistance. So I need to now resize this hat so that it would be, or so that it is my perfect hat size measurement. Join me in the next video because I'm going to go through the process of how I do that. And I know some people put a piece of foam here, a piece of foam here. I don't do it like that. I prefer to put a strip around the entire hat, and one strip is equal to 1 centimeter in size. So 2 strips would be equal to 2 centimeters in size. And for me, I'm now going to downsize this hat by 2 centimeters. So join me in the next video.